trying to stay on top of everything happening in finance today. It's like,
Drinking from a fire hose?
yeah, exactly. Too much data reports, analyses, forecasts.
Definitely
It
overwhelming.
really is.
For sure.
That's where the deep dive comes in, though. We cut through all that noise and
Get you those key insights.
exactly
Yeah, stuff that matters.
the stuff that really gives you an edge. And today we're diving into a fascinating paper.
Yeah, it's called Customized FinGPT Search Agents using foundation models.
And what's so cool about this research, at least for me, is how it explores these brand new AI tools.
And what they could mean for everyday people and institutions, right?
Exactly. Giving you personalized advice like never before.
Yeah, that's the big idea.
So our mission today is to understand how these AI agents work,
How they're different from what we've seen before.
how they could change the game for individual investors and these big financial institutions.
Right, like what makes them tick? What makes them so special?
Exactly. We're searching for those aha moments that help us really grasp this cutting-edge technology.
Unlocking the secrets of AI in finance.
Right, let's dive in. So the paper starts by pointing out a big problem with these massive financial language models we have today. I'm talking about the big ones like Bloomberg GPT and FinGPT.
Yeah, these are powerful tools, but they've got their limitations.
They can handle huge data sets and give you a general overview of the market.
That's right, they're great at the big picture stuff.
But when it comes to your specific needs,
The nitty-gritty details of your portfolio or a company's sensitive information,
they tend to fall short.
it's like they're missing that personal touch, you know?
Right, they're not tailored to you.
And that's where customized FinGPT comes in. The researchers came up with this really cool idea. They call them FinGPT Search Agents. And get this, there are two versions.
Oh, that's interesting. One for individuals and one for institutions.
Exactly. Both designed to provide that personalized financial intelligence that was missing.
Wow, so they're tackling those limitations head on.
Yeah.
The paper talks about these core challenges, right?
Yeah, the big hurdles anyone building truly personalized financial AI would face.
The first one they mention is privacy and data security.
That's a huge one, especially when you're dealing with sensitive financial info.
Whether you're an individual trying to protect your investments,
Or a big financial institution safeguarding all that proprietary data.
security is non-negotiable.
Absolutely. No compromises there.
Then there's the time-sensitive nature of all this financial data.
Yeah, markets are constantly changing, news breaks every minute.
Your insights are only as good as the latest information, right?
You got to be up to date or you're already behind.
Building a system that can keep up with that constant flow of info.
That's a serious technical challenge.
Then the third challenge is speed, right?
Yeah.
How fast can this AI give us answers?
Right. No one wants to wait forever for their financial analysis.
People need answers quickly, especially in today's fast-paced world.
Yeah, we're all used to instant gratification.
So those are the three big puzzles the researchers were trying to solve with customized FinGPT. Let's start with the individual user agent, because this sounds particularly relevant for, well, anyone managing their own money.
Absolutely. This version is designed to run locally on your computer so your data stays safe and private.
That's a big plus for privacy-conscious people.
For sure. And here's the really cool part. It can gather data from all sorts of places where you might have financial information stored.
Like what? What kind of sources?
Well, for starters, you can specify websites you trust, financial news sites, blogs, maybe even APIs that give you real-time market data. The paper actually mentions a specific tool, the Reader Library from Gemini. And what's interesting is it goes beyond just grabbing the website link. It pulls the actual content and makes sense of it.
Wow, so it's not just skimming the surface.
No, it's really digging into the information.
Like if I have a couple of go-to websites for financial news, I can just tell it to pull information from those sites.
Exactly. Imagine all your trusted sources, those crucial spreadsheets you keep, and the latest market data, all feeding into this AI.
Creating like a personalized financial brain.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't stop there. It can even use your local files like PDF reports or those Excel spreadsheets you meticulously maintain for tracking your investments.
That's amazing. I have so many financial PDFs I've downloaded over the years.
And they're probably just sitting there, right? Well, now they can be put to good use. They use a tool called Marker Library to convert those PDFs into a format the AI can understand, specifically Markdown.
That's really clever. So is using all these different sources to build a really comprehensive picture.
And to make sure its knowledge is always up to date, it can also tap into general web search engines like Google.
So it's like it's constantly learning and evolving.
Exactly. Always staying ahead of the curve.
That's really impressive. So let's say you have a specific financial question. How does this all work in practice? Walk me through it.
Sure, let's say you're wondering, what's the likely income for my company next quarter, given that we're in the AI sector? You type that question into your local FinGPT agent.
Okay, so I've given it my question. What does it do next?
Well, first, it goes out and retrieves all the relevant data from the sources we talked about, your preferred websites, your local files, and anything it finds on the web through Google.
Okay, so it's gathered all this raw information. Does it just throw it all at the language model and hope for the best?
No, not at all. This is where it gets really smart. It takes your initial question, which might be pretty broad, and refines it based on the specific context it's gathered. So in our example, what's the likely income for my company next quarter gets transformed into something much more targeted, like based on our latest financial reports, current market trends in the AI sector, and recent news articles about the industry, what's our projected income for next quarter?
I see. So it's giving the AI a much more precise roadmap.
Exactly. It's like providing all the necessary background information.
And then this refined prompt, along with all the relevant data, gets fed into the LLM's long context window. I remember reading about that. What exactly does that mean?
It's essentially giving the AI a longer memory. Instead of just remembering the last few sentences, it can now access and consider all the information you've given it.
So it can see the bigger picture.
Exactly. That's what makes the advice truly personalized and tailored to your specific situation.
That makes sense. So the LLM processes all of this and then generates a response.
Right. And that response is presented back to you. And here's another cool thing. There's a feedback loop built in. So you can tell the agent if the response was helpful, accurate, or if it missed the mark.
That's awesome. It's like it's constantly learning and improving.
And remember, this whole process happens locally on your computer, so your financial data never leaves your control.
That's a huge relief for people concerned about privacy. Now let's switch gears and talk about the institutional user agent. This is for the big players, right?
Yes, this is for financial institutions, banks, hedge funds, you name it. They have very different needs and operate in a much more complex environment.
I can imagine they're dealing with massive amounts of data.
Yeah, and security is paramount. We're talking about sensitive information here.
Absolutely. So how does this version of customized FinGPT work?
Well, instead of running on individual computers, this version relies on what's called a dynamic vector database. They chose to use MongoDB NoSQL for this purpose.
Okay, a dynamic vector database. That sounds pretty technical. Can you break that down for me?
Sure. Imagine you could turn words and concepts into a kind of secret code where similar ideas have similar codes.
Like a semantic map.
That's a good way to think about it. It allows the AI to understand the meaning behind the data, not just the words themselves.
I see. So instead of just searching for keywords, it's searching for meaning.
Exactly. And they use this to store and manage the institution's proprietary data. Things like historical trading records, research reports, client interactions, all of that gets turned into these numerical representations called embeddings.
Embeddings, what are those?
Think of them like coordinates on a map. Each data point gets its own unique set of coordinates based on its meaning.
That's fascinating. So when someone within the institution asks a question, that question also gets turned into an embedding.
Exactly. And then the database can very quickly find the data points that are most semantically similar to the question.
It's like having a superpowered search engine that understands the context.
That's a great way to put it. And the dynamic part means that this database is constantly learning and updating based on how people use it.
So the more people interact with it, the smarter it gets.
Precisely. It's always refining its understanding and becoming more accurate.
That's really cool. So it's not just retrieving information, it's also learning from every interaction.
Exactly. And on top of all that, they take a base language model and fine-tune it using the institution's data.
Fine-tune it. You mean they take a general-purpose language model and make it more specialized?
That's right. They train it specifically on the institution's data, so it becomes an expert in their particular domain.
That makes a lot of sense. So they're essentially creating a custom-made AI for each institution.
That's a good way to think about it. It's all about tailoring the technology to the specific needs of the user.
So walk me through the workflow here. Let's say an employee at the institution has a question. What happens?
They type their question into the system. The system then converts that question into an embedding.
Like we talked about before.
Exactly. The system then uses that embedding to search the dynamic vector database and retrieves the most relevant data. That retrieved data helps to refine the original question, making it even more specific. Then, the fine-tuned language model steps in, processes all this information, and generates a response.
And that response goes back to the employee.
Right. And like with the individual agent, there's a feedback mechanism. So the employee can rate the response and help the system improve over time.
It's like a continuous cycle of learning and improvement.
Exactly. And all of this happens within the institution's secure IT infrastructure, so their data is always protected.
That's crucial for these organizations. Now, the research paper compares customized FinGPT to other technologies out there.
Yeah, they specifically mention existing web agents like Mining2W Web and Web Voyager.
What's the key difference between those and customized FinGPT?
Those web agents are designed for general information gathering. They're great at browsing the web and finding stuff, but they're not specifically built for finance. Customized FinGPT, on the other hand, is laser focused on the financial domain. It's designed to understand the complexities of financial data and provide insights that are relevant to the world of finance.
I see. So it's not just a general purpose tool trying to do finance.
Right, it's built from the ground up with finance in mind.
And they also talk about this concept called Retrieval-Augmented Generation, or RAG.
Yeah, RAG is a key part of what makes Customized FinGPT so powerful. It's a way to keep the AI's knowledge up to date without having to constantly retrain the entire model.
That sounds really efficient. How does it work?
Well, instead of retraining the entire model every time there's new information, RAG retrieves the relevant data from external sources, like the web or the institution's internal database, and then uses that data to enhance the prompt given to the language model.
So it's like giving the AI a cheat sheet with all the latest info.
Exactly. And this can lead to significant improvements in accuracy. The paper actually mentions research showing that RAG can improve financial sentiment analysis by 15 to 48%.
Wow, that's a huge jump. So it's not just about making the AI smarter, it's also about making it more efficient.
Absolutely. It's about getting the right information to the AI at the right time.
So let's talk about performance. How well did customized FinGPT actually perform in their tests?
They tested the individual user version against baseline models like GPT 3.5 and GPT 4.0, and the results were really impressive.
I bet. It's got all those extra data sources and RI going for it.
Right, and it showed. When they tested it on a variety of financial and general web-based questions, customized FinGPT significantly outperformed the base models. Accuracy jumped from around 20% to almost 90%.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Almost a five-fold increase in accuracy.
Yeah, it really highlights the power of incorporating those external and user-specific data sources.
What about the institutional version? How did it fare against other large language models?
They tested it on a number of tasks relevant to financial institutions, including things like understanding financial regulations, identifying key entities in financial documents, and even retrieving relevant legal links.
I can imagine those are some pretty challenging tasks.
They are, and customized FinGPT consistently outperformed other leading models like GPT-4, GPT-4o, GPT 3.5, Mistral, and LLM-A3.
So it's not just accurate, it's also capable of handling complex tasks.
Exactly. And it excelled at link retrieval, almost doubling the accuracy of GPT-4o. That's because it can access and process external web pages when necessary.
That makes sense, given its access to all those sources. So it's not just limited to the data it was trained on.
Right. It can go out and find new information when it needs to.
That's really powerful. Now, what about speed? We talked about how important that is in finance.
Yeah, no one wants to wait forever for an answer, so they measured the response times for the individual agent.
What did they find?
It was surprisingly fast. For financial indices-related questions, it took about 7 to 8 seconds on average.
Not bad at all, considering it's pulling data from all over the place.
And for more general web-based queries, it was even faster, around 2 to 3 seconds.
That's amazing. It's almost as fast as just using a regular search engine.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive, right? And in some cases, the search agent was actually faster than the base model alone.
Wait, really? How is that possible?
Well, their theory is that by providing the AI with more relevant and focused context through RAG, it helps the AI generate the correct answer more efficiently, saving processing time.
That's really interesting. So more context can sometimes lead to faster responses?
That's the idea.
Now, the research paper also touches on the user interface, which is really important.
Yeah, you could have the most powerful AI in the world, but if it's difficult to use, no one will use it.
So how did they approach the user interface design?
They designed separate interfaces for individuals and institutions, both focused on ease of use and control over data sources.
That makes sense. Their needs are pretty different.
Right. For individuals, the interface is pretty straightforward. You can easily add websites, upload local files, and manage your settings.
Sounds pretty user-friendly.
It is. For institutions, they take a more cautious approach, requiring explicit code input for data transfer to ensure complete control and security.
That's understandable, given the sensitive nature of their data.
Absolutely. They also have a separate interface for fine-tuning the language model once they have enough data in their database.
So it's a more controlled environment.
Yeah, they have more granular control over everything.
So to sum up, customized FinGPT seems like a really big step forward in the world of AI in finance.
Yeah, it's not just another general-purpose AI tool trying to do finance.
It's specifically designed to provide personalized and secure financial analysis, both for individuals and institutions.
And it tackles those core challenges of privacy, up-to-date information, and speed head-on.
It's really exciting to see how this technology is evolving and how it could change the way we approach finance.
Definitely. Makes you think about the possibilities, right? How could these AI agents change the way people manage their money? How could they give financial institutions a competitive edge?
It's really fascinating stuff, and I'm sure we'll be seeing even more innovation in this space in the future.
Absolutely. This is just the beginning.
It makes you wonder, as AI becomes more and more integrated into finance, what will it mean to be well-informed in the future? Will it mean having your own personalized AI agent guiding your financial decisions?
That's a great question. It's something to think about.
It certainly is. Thanks for joining us today for this deep dive into customized FinGPT. It's been an enlightening conversation.
My pleasure. Always happy to discuss the future of finance.
We'll be back soon with another deep dive into the world of financial technology. Until then, stay informed and stay ahead of the curve.
And maybe start thinking about what your own personalized AI agent might look like.
That's a great idea.